Major news out of Trenton today. Governor Sherrill announced that 6,600 non-citizens in New Jersey were registered to vote due to a software error at the DMV. This happened between June 2023 and June 2024. Sherrill says that those registered were a mix of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and of those registered, 400 actually voted in an election. She said this error, quote, didn't happen under my watch, but accountability starts now, saying she's taken several steps to prevent something like this from happening again, including firing the vendor that worked with the DMV. Now, this comes on the heels of the state GOP and the Republican National Committee filing a lawsuit against the state for a voting provision that allows some non-New Jersey residents overseas to vote in our elections. Christine Hanlon is the head of the state GOP, who knows a thing or two about elections as the Monmouth County clerk. She joins us now as part of our Under the Dome series. Christine, so great to have you on the show. Thanks for taking some time. I want to start with the news of the day. Of course, Governor Sherrill coming out today and explaining that there was a software system error at the DMV, and these 6,600 people registered to vote who were not legally registered to vote. 400 of them voted. What's your reaction to this news?
Well, I feel like Republicans in many ways have been vindicated by this news, but also there's a lot more work to be done. So we in the New Jersey GOP did an election integrity task force a few months ago. We were called fearmongers, conspiracy theorists, and one of our biggest findings was that there were many non-citizens on the New Jersey voter rolls, and we were criticized for bringing this to light. But this has gone back many years where Republicans have voiced their concerns about the issues with the voter rolls in New Jersey, and one of the issues being non-citizens on the voter rolls, and it was just dismissed outright. So this is really interesting to see the governor today come out and say that there were actually, as we had identified, many thousands of non-citizens on the voter rolls. And they, I believe, identified about 400 who had voted. But this was only one issue and for a certain time period. I believe that there's much more work to be done because we've identified non-citizens on the voter rolls who are outside that time period. So the software glitch really has nothing to do with those issues. So I believe like a comprehensive review really needs to be done with respect to New Jersey voter rolls. And you shouldn't really dismiss. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't want to, go ahead.
You know, you can't like just say, oh, well, it was only 400 people who may have voted. You know, elections in New Jersey oftentimes come down to a small number of votes. And personally, I don't believe that's all encompassing, that number. As I said, because we've identified non-citizens on the voter rolls outside of that time period.
Well, let me jump in here because let me jump in here. There's because there's a lot I want to get to, and another issue that I know that the New Jersey GOP has taken up is a state law that allows U.S. citizens born abroad to vote in federal elections if their parent, their guardian, or their spouse was eligible to vote in New Jersey in the last election. The New Jersey GOP, you leading that, has sued the state. Why?
Well, we believe that this state law violates the New Jersey Constitution, which requires you to be a resident of the state in order to vote in New Jersey. You know, how does this differ from living in Pennsylvania and being eligible to vote in New Jersey? It's kind of the same thing. You can't live in Pennsylvania or Florida or New York and say, well, my parents live in New Jersey, so I should be able to vote there. It really flies in the face of the Constitution, and we have joined with the Republican National Committee and one of our congressional candidates, Michael McGuire, to sue based on the unconstitutionality of this statute.
We did reach out to the Attorney General's office, and they had said that they look forward to responding to this lawsuit in court, that they will continue to ensure that eligible military and overseas voters are able to cast their ballots in state elections. I know that will be fought in the courts. That's not
really the issue, right? So they're responding with the non-issue because nothing about our lawsuit really has anything to do with military voters. So it's really trying to cloud the issue. You know, the NJGOP and the RNC fully support, eligible members of the military and eligible overseas voters to be able to cast their ballots. They are not
Which,
the
by the
issue.
way, which is protected under the Federal Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act. As I know you know, the New Jersey
Yes.
law does take it further than that federal law in terms of who is eligible. I want to ask your thoughts on the U.S. Supreme Court allowing mail-in ballots to be counted if they are cast on Election Day. Do you believe that that was the right decision for New Jersey, for our country?
Personally, I do not believe it was the right decision. I think that, but I understand, they kind of left it to the states. But in my opinion, elections really should be over on election day at the close of the polls. And it leads to a lot of voter angst and voter, voters questioning the outcome of an election when elections can change 2 weeks later, because in New Jersey, ballots are allowed to come in for 6 days after election day, and unfortunately within the first 48 hours they don't even really, I'm sorry, within the first 48 hours after election day, they don't even really have to be postmarked. It is assumed that they were voted in time. So there are a lot of issues to me that really need to be addressed, and the election process tightened up. But the Supreme Court made their ruling. I understand what they did. I don't necessarily agree with that ruling.
You are the Monmouth County Clerk. You have overseen elections in the state. I want to, tying in that Supreme Court decision, what you just said, with what the president announced to the country last week in a statement. He said, in an address, he said that we have shocking vulnerabilities in our election system. He blames international interference. Do you believe New Jersey's elections are safe and secure?
I believe that generally speaking, yes, but you have these issues that there's a difference between like the safety and security and tightening up processes relating to the rules and regulations as to voting. For instance, the non-citizen issue and allowing people who are not eligible to vote. There are issues with really verification of individuals who should be, how do you verify who they are when they are voting? Because we don't require ID when people are voting. And I believe we should require ID. So I think there's always room to improve, just like years ago when there were allegations made relating to Russian hacking and issues like that, where states across the country looked at their systems and said, how can we make improvements to these systems? Election integrity should be a nonpartisan issue, and election security should be a nonpartisan issue. I would have to see more about some of these issues relating to how any interference took place, just like years ago that I analyzed what happened and took it on a case-by-case basis. But I think there's always room for improvement, and we should always be looking at how do we make things better and more secure.
So much more we could talk about, but we have to leave it there. Christine Hanlon, State Chair of the New Jersey Republican Party and the Monmouth County Clerk, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Under the Dome is made possible in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.